Secrets are revealed and hard truths emerge, culminating in a battle against two opposing forces. Hello, everyone. I'm Steve from Valhartv, and today I'll be reviewing Hawkeye Episode 4. So we start right off, right at the end of Episode 3. Jack has the Ronin blade pointed at Clint. Kate comes in and screams like, "No, don't do it!" And then he's like, "Oh," and he's like, "Oh, you're Arrow," and Kate's like, "No, Hawkeye." And then she looks over at Clint and she's like, "See, it's a branding issue," and he's like, "It's not a branding issue." Yeah, and I was like, "Really?" I'm like, "This is gonna be the running joke, the branding issue." I was like, "What?" So yeah, this is gonna be the whole running joke for this. Uh, Everyone sits down too in the penthouse and starts talking with Kate and Clint and trying to find out what they're doing together. There's some banter back and forth between everybody. Like Jack is like, "Oh, that's great," but Kate's mom's like, "No, that's not." And then Kate's like, "Oh, we're working on something. We're partners." And Clint's like, "No, we're not." She's like, "Oh yeah, we're like, I'm super chill." He's like, "She's not chill." And they go back and forth because they're not on the same page. Because Clint's really just trying to help her out to get home for the holidays. He wants to get all this stuff taken care of with the Ronin and get back to his family by Christmas. And I don't know. To me, it doesn't look like they're going to get it done before Christmas. But they got maybe a couple of days left, and there's only one episode now left because I am behind. But yeah, so there's some banter that I kind of thought was a little playful. I chuckled a little bit because I was like, you can see people, nobody's on the same page, and this is where Kate's mom talks to Clint as she's walking him out and is like, you need to let this go, and he's like, well, I kind of can't, but I can make sure she's safe. So we see that there's a mysterious phone call. Kind of interesting. I liked that part where she's like, "Hey, it's me. We got an issue," and then that's all you see. So, wondering who she called. But after Clint leaves the penthouse, he starts looking into Jack more and his company, and we get more information about that actually, which I thought was kind of interesting. And we get a little more about the tracksuit mob as well. And then we also get that there might be more stuff from the Avengers compound loose out there. So apparently nobody after the aftermath, when they brought everybody back, nobody secured the compound. Like especially the wreckage. So looks like there's a whole bunch of stuff that people stole, including the watch, the Rolex watch that we actually get to see more of later on in this episode. So I thought that was very interesting as well. It's very interesting, and I keep saying interesting, but it's very weird and interesting that things keep going missing from the Avengers and getting into the wrong hands. And it's like, where are the people like the government, who are trying to regulate this, especially that when you see it in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they're like, "Oh, we got all these regulations. We're, trying to do this stuff," and it's like, where's all these people? Where's everybody that secured this compound so nothing could get out? So I'm interested into seeing what else is out there, to be honest with you. But I don't know why the Ronin suit would have been there. That's kind of that's something Clint used to go around terrorizing mobsters. Wouldn't you want to put it in another location, someplace only you knew about? So I was very interested in that, too. I thought that was very neat idea of how they actually got the Ronin suit. But at the same time, I still don't really like the Ronin angle. I think this would have been a lot better if they had went through the actual mystery part with surrounding Jack and his family and the tracksuit mob a little more. But we also end up getting to see the LARPers again in this, too, which I thought was very neat, because they're practicing when Kate comes up to them, and one of them is a cop, and Clint sends her there to get the cop to get evidence out of one of the police stations because they're his trick arrows. and he needs special shafts in order to shoot these arrows. And I guess that's what they are. They're like the shafts or something. So he's got to get them back. And he sends Kate on this. And then when he gets back to the apartment, Kate is literally trying on Viking armor and things like that. And she's like, oh, hey, check this out, And Clint's like, what are you doing? He's like, I sent you out to get this stuff, not bring everybody back and hang out. And one of the ladies does come back, the cop, with a bag. And she's like, oh, yeah, I got him, but she won't release the bag. So I did kind of chuckle at this part because I thought it was kind of funny. I think the LARPers are actually from this comic series that this is supposedly based off of. But I don't know. I've never actually read it. But we also do get a good bonding scene in this, too, between Clint and Kate. Back during the penthouse, we see that Jack says something about spending the holidays alone. And Kate kind of actually realizes that Clint is spending the holidays alone because he's not with his family. He's helping her out. So she goes and gets a whole bunch of stuff, brings it back to her aunt's apartment, I believe it is. And they set up a tree and they start doing bonding stuff, which I actually really liked. This was, I think, the best part out of this whole entire episode was the bonding sequence because Clint's talking about certain things with her, and he shows her how to take like a quarter and bounce it off of stuff, and to really, because he's like, I can knock somebody out with just a quarter, and she's like, oh, I'll prove it. So he does, and then he teaches her how to do it, and she picks it up pretty fast. So I was kind of like, I don't know, even I can't pick things up that fast, but Kate's not stupid either, so she picks it up. They celebrate that, but then Clint says something that he kind of shouldn't, and it leads Kate to realizing why Clint is actually helping her out. So I thought that whole sequence was really good, and we get some good dialogue in this throughout the whole episode too, so I thought that was kind of neat as well. But the episode does end on a rooftop, basically rooftop fight scene between a new Black Widow, so we get to see a Black Widow come along. We get to see Kate, Maya, and Clint all fight, each other. So they're fighting each other, and the Black Widow fights Maya, and they go back and forth. I thought it wasn't a bad fight scene at all, actually. I actually liked it, but my favorite part of this whole episode was the bonding sequence between Kate and Clint. So the effects in this were good. The roof fight scene wasn't bad at all. I actually did like it, again. The only thing I didn't really understand, and I'm actually intrigued about, is if Maya is stronger than she's stronger than she looks. So I'm wondering if she did something to her body or took like a serum that made her stronger, because there's one part where she kicks Kate at least 5 to maybe 10 feet away from her with a normal kick. And like there's this big opening where Kate like literally flies over and stuff. So I was kind of like, I'm like, is she stronger than she looks? And there's a part where like she's getting shocked with like 2 little red things that the Black Widow puts on her, and she also puts one on Clint, that she's like shaking and she just rips them off. It doesn't seem to bother her as much as it does Clint, because Clint's down and he's like reaching. Takes him a little longer to rip it off. So I was very interested in that. So that made me more interested in her character. But again, the characters really aren't standing out in this very much. Like this whole series really hasn't been as good as Loki or like WandaVision. Those are really like the 2 I would say I liked the most out of all of these series so far. But I still think WandaVision's the best out of all of them. The acting I actually thought was a little bit better in this one. We see Kate and Jack and Kate's mom. They're all in a little bonding where, and Jack takes her mom and they dance and stuff. The rooftop scene was actually pretty good. The bonding scene, again, was great in this, so I did like the acting. So this episode does slow down and focuses more on relationship building between Clint and Kate. It also gives us a little more info about Jack, which makes Kate have to figure out what to do next about him, and trying to maybe expose him to her mother. But I think her mother already knows and may be involved with it. So we'll see, because there's 2 episodes that I have to watch and review. So I would give this a 7 out of 10 simply because of the bonding sequence at Kate's aunt's apartment. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought about this episode, too. And if you guys like what I do, please hit the like button and subscribe. Take care for now, everyone.